And there was something so beautiful about that scene and moment that I felt like it really just encapsulated this idea of freedom. Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with another movie review. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for the content that we produce on this channel each and every week in the world of TV and movies. My name is Cameron. Papa was a Rolling Stone. Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm howling Phil Corwin.
Oh, that's right. Well, if you haven't guessed it by now, but of course you would have based on the title of this video, we are here to review none other than Sinners, of course, directed by the great Ryan Coogler. And I say the great for a reason. We will get into that as we go more into this review, or at least in a couple minutes. So Sinners. Okay, so this, as of right now, it feels like potentially it's like being the biggest movie of the year. That's how it feels in terms of how much people have been talking about it, how much people have gone to see it. It's everywhere. It was reviewed so incredibly well before the movie came out, and it's still being reviewed incredibly well. And so, like, the first thing I do want to mention about Sinners that I think, and obviously this is a spoiler review, just to give the heads up. The first thing I want to mention about Sinners is that I think one of the things that did affect my viewing is that I went into it with, I think, too high of expectations. And that isn't to say I didn't think this movie is bad. I thought this movie is great. And I really do. I think this movie is great. But I think the incredible reviews, and I'm not just saying incredible reviews, like the Rotten Tomatoes score, these reviews are impeccable for this movie. The reactions that were coming out word of mouth this opening weekend, like how many people watched it, how many people are talking about it. Sinners was just all over my timeline on X. And like, I think it did ruin it for me in a sense where I went in, I think, with expectations that this movie could have never really matched or obtained. And so, that is one thing that I think I will put an asterisk on, and I think I will benefit as a result from a second viewing. But that being said, I think this movie is great. And I think it is the reason why I said the great Ryan Coogler is because I think that he is slowly cementing and stamping his name on there. He was one of seen and known as of one of the, definitely one of the best I think around. But now I think he's really cementing potentially what he is, who he is, and what he can do. And seeing a movie like this, especially after watching him do Creed and Black Panther and obviously Fruitvale Station, it does make you go, okay, if you can do this, what does the future hold? But yeah, that's my initial thoughts on Sinners. So how about you? What was your initial thoughts on this movie?
I think I'm with you on my expectations were a lot higher. And I keep telling myself just stop watching trailers and reading about these films because it's just gonna ruin the film for you almost. Because you're gonna have such a high expectation for it that it could never live up to. Um, so yeah, it didn't. Yeah, it didn't. It didn't quite live up to what I was expecting or hoping for. Um, we might as well get into it though with that one.
I mean, let's get into it. I mean,
Yeah.
jump in. I mean, like you said that it didn't really meet your expectation. It wasn't really what you was hoping for. Why?
So from the trailer and for like what people have been saying, I expected something a little bit in the line of From Dusk Till Dawn, right?
Which is the movie it's being compared to a lot.
Yeah, and rightfully so, I think, because it does have that genre switch um in there, and quite a drastic genre switch as well. Because and I think that was my problem. I think my problem was that it turns a little bit too sharply. Where it starts off as this, it starts off as like this black drama, really, of these two brothers, these two twin brothers, who want to like open a club and like make it in this town that they return to. And that in itself could have been an interesting story, especially when you like factor in like the secret clan still being around, and having a problem with like rich black guys probably. so that would have been like an interesting drama, but then it completely veers into the almost like B-movie vampire horror thing. With like sometimes quite B-movie lines as well, I felt. Um, and like a slightly B-movie schlocky plot. And it just didn't like gel for me. I think it just didn't fit together as well. Um, yeah. How did you feel about the particularly the genre switch?
I actually like the genre switch,
Yeah.
personally speaking. I actually did like it. I think because one of the things I do like about this movie is the style. Like, I think it's kind
Hmm.
of cool, like watching this, not to say period piece, but watching this movie that is, or this piece that's taking place, in a world where slaves still exist, where the KKK still exists, and seeing this world where this black community is having to navigate life still, kind of like in at the turning point of still under, great oppression, while obviously some are still making it out. And I thought that that's such an interesting setting to then turn into like this vampire flick. Like when they're in that club, I even forgot what the club is, or the whatever they call it that they
Duke.
made. The
Duke.
Duke, that's it. That that Stacks and what's the other one called? Smoke?
Smoke.
Yeah, what that
Smoke
they
and
made.
stack.
Yeah, that's
Smoke.
it. Like when it turns into the vampire stuff, like it feels so cool. And I think it's Ryan Coogler's style and flair. Like the fact that it's taking place in this specific location, and then when the vampires start coming in, it always feels like you always feel like a little air electric guitar come in, like it turns a bit rocky, and like I was kind of here for it, if I'm being honest with you. Like one of the scenes that like look tremendous, or sequences, is when Preacher Boy is singing and playing the guitar, and we kind of go through this sequence of ancestors from the
Yeah.
past and then people from the future all kind of coming together, and it just looked beautiful. It looked so beautiful the way it was done. But the thing is though, is that I think that the biggest thing for me about this movie, at least that didn't work for me, is the vampires. I never got a real sense, or really feel like I really got behind what they wanted. And that
Hmm.
goes into the big word, the law. One of the interesting things they
Ding,
set
ding,
up,
ding, ding,
of
ding.
course, one of the interesting things they set up in the opening credits is that they talk about, how people who can play music, sometimes it kind of draws in demons or something like that. And the vampires, the lady who I think it's Smoke's love interest. I forgot the character's name. I believe it's Smoke's love interest.
Yeah, I forgot which one was
Yeah, so
vampire.
Stacks is the one who turned vampire. Smokes is the one who essentially died at the end.
Oh,
But yeah,
also turned into oh no.
yeah, but Smoke's love interest, like for example, she almost gives like off William Dafoe's character from Nosferatu to a degree, where she kind of like knows, about these different myths
Hmm.
and kind of things that goes on. She knows about vampires, and she knows about how to treat them and tackle them. And I felt that that was interesting, but then it's like with the vampires, I don't get really a sense of like it seems like they're trying to escape something, but
Hmm.
it never really feels like I get an understanding of really what they're trying to escape or why I care. But I think that then also ties for me with what I one of the things that I really liked about the movie. But before I get into that, like, what was your thoughts on the villainous side of this film, like
Hmm.
with the vampires
I
themselves?
have to say there was a nice moment when the kind of the head vampire, the Irish lad, kind of explains that he just wants to build a community or something like that. He's like, I'm paraphrasing or guessing really. Um, and I think I got it at that point. I think I got the idea of this thing of like this is he's collecting people and he's got like secret KKK people in there. He's Irish, he's not even from America. And then he gets some black people in there once he gets to the club. And it's just everyone like different skin colors, different like ideologies, and they're all vampires. They're all connected through him. Um, so I wonder if that was the idea, to kind of form a community that is all equal, even down to the fact that they feel his pain, you know.
Mm.
Um, So yeah, I'm guessing I'm reading that into it, and I kind of like that idea.
No, I get it because yeah, that does tie into for me to one of the things, especially walking away from the movie and thinking about it a bit, that I actually did, I really did respect, and does have me thinking about more. And it's like there's this sense I feel throughout the movie where Ryan Coogler is playing with this idea of like people trying to obtain some kind of freedom to a
Yeah, that
degree
was a big
from,
theme, I think.
yeah, from like their own, oppression or struggle or what have you. And that I did really enjoy. And I think one of the things or scenes that really connects that together is, at the end, because this movie, I think has like two or three post-credit scenes. It felt like at least. But that scene that we get, I think it's the second to last mid-credit scene where, we meet Preacher Boy, Sammie as an old man, and then
Oh yeah,
Stax. This is in the 90s or something, and then
yeah,
Stax and
92, I think.
yeah, and Stax and Mary come through, and Stax reveals that
The
he
90s clothes.
exactly, but Stax reveals that that Smoke didn't actually kill him, and
Mm,
part of that was swearing that he wouldn't touch Sammie, and I think it's such a fascinating question where Sammie turns to him or turns to them and says, that day before, it turned from before the sunset was the greatest day of my life. And that was such a fascinating thing to say. Like, I
mm.
remember listening to that thinking, interesting, and then he turns it round and says, was it like that for you? And then, Stax turns around and says, yeah, he alludes to, for the fact that they got to dance for the last time. He got to spend his time with with his brother for the first time. He got to see last time, sorry, he got to see, just the sky and the sun for the last time. And there was something so beautiful about that scene and moment that I felt like it really just encapsulated this idea of freedom. And I love that. I really did love that. Um, yeah, I really did love that. What was your thoughts on that?
It's definitely was an interesting theme, like the idea that they want to open this club because they want to, own something that is, I guess, theirs, and they let, the right people in for black people, right? And even the idea down to the fact that they don't charge, or they like one guy comes with like wooden coins and they let him in, just because it's like let them have this thing, right? The life is hard enough for them. Just let them have this freedom of going out with other people like them and like enjoying their music. Um, so yeah, there was definitely like a lot of the theme behind this whole thing of the club and the music as well. Um, and I guess for Preacher Boy as well, that he was allowed to play that music, away from his dad, and that freedom for him.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Preacher Boy. I don't have the actor's name.
Miles Caton,
Miles
he was a
Caton.
singer actually.
Okay, shout out to him because from what I read, unless I was reading the wrong thing, I saw this at least the other day on X that apparently this was his first ever role.
Hmm.
Um, and kudos to him because I mean he did a great job, and that does lead me to like my opinion on this cast and the
Hmm.
performances. Like, what a cast and what a bunch, what an ensemble! Like, I feel like everyone just
Actually,
had
yeah.
amazing chemistry with each other. They bounced off each other so well. Some of these scenes between them were just so entertaining to watch. Hailee Steinfeld in there as well. She was also great, of course. And Michael B. Jordan. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, this is a guy who
Both of them.
I think, exactly, both of them. This is a guy that I think, we have looked at and said, this guy is one of the modern day top actors. And not just one of the modern day great black actors, one of the modern day great actors in general. And that's the same way I feel about Ryan Coogler now becoming one of the modern day great directors.
Hmm.
And what a performance. Like, he's awesome. He is so awesome. He's so good in this. And what a team. That team of Ryan and Michael. Like, now I can't wait to see how it looks like in a couple years where they announce their next movie. Now, this is going to become like one of those, and it already
Will
has
this be
been.
like Martin Scorsese and like Robert De Niro kind of
Exactly, exactly.
relationship where they keep coming back to each other and just like these?
Exactly. And I think that is going to be like the premier partnership. And I think
Mm.
that Sinners, with how great it's doing and how great it's being received, will be, I think it will cement them now, I think, as that duo that anytime they now do something, they immediately have your attention.
When we talk about Michael B. Jordan, like there's a scene in when I think it's when Preacher Boy sings for the first time and they're in the car,
Mm.
and it's Stack, I think, is the red guy.
Yeah.
Um, so they're in the car and Stack is driving and Preacher Boy sings for the first time. And Michael B. Jordan does, I feel, channel Denzel so much in that scene. When he's like laughing and like how he's reacting to it. I just saw Denzel in it. And I
Yeah.
wonder if Denzel is where he's heading, basically. If
Mm.
he's becoming the next Denzel of Washington. And I would be excited for that if he's
Yeah.
getting up to that kind of level.
Me too. Me too. And especially because he's done so much varying roles already. Like, whether it is a Killmonger or it is, an Adonis Creed. It is Adonis Creed, right?
Adonis, yeah.
Yeah, or whether it be, for example, I can't remember what the character's name is. He played in obviously Fruitvale Station, which, oh gosh, that movie is something else. But in a great way, like just so emotional. But I think he is getting up there now in terms of one of those premier performers where it's like, wow, where this, and he's still very young as well,
Mhm.
and so to see where that could go. But yeah, this movie for me, I think that the thing I think that the word I use is this movie's cool. This movie's for the cool kids. That's how I kind of see it.
I do want to mention then, get into the music because I think that has a lot to do with how cool it is, how cool it
Yeah.
feels. Because like blues is such an awesome like genre, I think, for like emotion. It's very emotional, but all kinds of emotion. Like it can be very like foot stompy and clappy and everyone like getting up to dance, but it can also be very sad and wailing and like,
Mm,
like expressing the pain of well, slavery, for example.
yeah.
Um, and so that there were like the soundtrack was awesome as well.
Great. Mm,
Really, really cool songs and good songs in there. Um, and yeah, I think that contributed to just the feel of the thing.
mm,
Just to have that music and like you said, you brought up the song he plays, Preacher Boy plays. I think it's the song he plays about he wrote about his dad.
that, yeah.
Um, when we get that, like like you said, that the where it transcends space and
Mm,
time and even culture, I think, because we get like some Asian people in there, some like well, black people definitely, but other people as well. I forget. But yeah, that was an amazing scene, and I think it's kind of like to show how the blues music transcended this time and space really, and
yeah.
inspired so many people. You mentioned sorry, I'm rambling now.
No, no,
You
no. You're
mentioned
making a good point. I actually want to hop on in a second.
older Sammie as well,
I
who's
think we're about to say the same thing. Yeah.
by Buddy Guy. Is that what you're going to say?
But I was essentially going to say, like, you made the point of, for example, like how blues is still transcends so much, and
Mm.
but that how that kind of links with that scene where where Sammie is there doing his concert, and that Stack says to him, like, I kind of hate your new stuff, like you with this electric guitar, and he goes back and gets his classic, good, well, I
Mm.
guess guitar, and there's a certain feeling that comes with that. There's a certain
Mm.
like, yeah, I'm free. I'm not doing this. I was about to swear there, but I'm not doing this crap that now I'm actually doing something meaningful. Yeah,
Still meaningful because I was going to say like, but he was basically played by Buddy Guy, who was a blues musician and credited, I believe, with like inspiring people like Jimi Hendrix, who's very famous for playing an electric guitar, but also like Stevie Ray Vaughan, I think. Yes, I'm reading it by the way. Keith Richards, all these like Eric Clapton, all these like blues guitarists who like who are now famous were inspired by this guy who was a blues guitarist as well.
yeah.
And just this idea, like the celebration of the music and
Mm,
how there's just you had even like the the guys on the chain gang singing, right? When they
Yeah, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
like Slim is shouting at them. Um, and like from that, like the origins of the blues, from that to well, yeah, all the way to electric guitar, and so yeah, just to celebrate that really
Yeah.
um was a really cool idea, and it really like touched me as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, one of the things I wanted to ask you, obviously, before,
Mm.
we soon hit icy time, is, what was your thoughts or your, quick thoughts on the ending of the movie? And when I mean the ending, I mean the ending before we start to roll to credits. So, when you obviously have, Smoke obviously having his little shootout with the, KKK adjacent
Mm.
crew, obviously him seeing once again I forgot the his love interest's name, but her with also in that reveal we obviously see that when he turns up to the home earlier on in the movie, and he kind of puts something down on the ground, kind of like almost like a memorial, that we obviously come to realize
Mm.
that it was clearly his either unborn or born baby who obviously passed away, and then he passes away. And then obviously that is after that, we immediately go to Sammie, uh, I think it ends with Sammie, isn't it? Because it goes back to that church scene that we see at the very beginning of the movie, where
Yes,
Sammie goes
and
in.
then he
Yeah,
drives away with the guitar, right? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what did you think of the ending?
I've it reminded me very much of was it well, but both of Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and
Gotcha.
the other one, his previous one, what was that called? With the Nazis, Inglorious Bastards.
Ah, gotcha.
Because it felt very much like you know, fighting back against the
Mm.
KKK basically. And here's the I can't think of words anymore. The catharsis, uh,
Yeah,
right? The catharsis we all wanted, like him just mowing down and like uh these 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 people, these racist. Um,
that's it.
so but it didn't feel real to me. And in a weird way, in a film that had vampires
Mm.
in it, that was the most unbelievable thing. He's just suddenly turning into this
John Wick.
Rambo-like action guy.
Yeah,
Not even John Wick, just like Rambo. It's
yeah,
literally
yeah.
like muscles out and glistening and like shooting them down with a machine gun, and, like throwing a grenade into a car. And it's
Forgot
yeah,
about that.
it's you know what I mean. It felt a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah,
like, oh, we've reached that wishful thinking territory of the male, the common male who wants this kind of stuff. And I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, which is yeah, where I'm not sure about the genre flipping and all that stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, no, I do agree with you. I do agree. That was hilarious. Looking back at it, that was actually very funny. But I mean, any other final thoughts? Or should we
I
hop
just
onto our
wanna,
IC review scores?
I just wanted to mention the vampires as well. Just the design I thought was really cool.
Same.
Because
Yeah.
they looked like normal people, which is I
Mm.
guess the modern way of doing vampires now. But they had this potential, like some glimpses of like the monster underneath. And I just absolutely love that design of the eyes.
Yeah,
It's like they
yeah,
have just these white pupils, but if like light hits them, it reflects these red, almost like, back in the day when we didn't have digital cameras or something, you'd have this red light, the red
mm,
eye effect, right? When you take
yeah,
a picture with flash. It was kind of that, right? But it really worked for me. It looked really, really cool. And every time they like turned towards the light and the light, like the eyes flashed red, it looked really interesting and really cool. I thought that was such a very simple but very effective design, I think.
yeah. I mean, and to add on to that, like even the little stuff like the drooling, and I mean that is kind of capped off by what might be the most greatest scene of this movie, when Hailee Steinfeld is there riding, Michael B. Jordan, and she's dribbling, and
That's
he's like, "Do you want to taste that?" That was quite an interesting scene, I felt.
if you're into that sort of stuff.
You know what I mean?
Definitely some fetish ticked off
Yeah, I mean,
for
who
some
said
people.
vampires can't be
Not
sexy, I
shaming.
suppose, you know? But I mean, obviously, that will do it for our review of Sinners. So, our IC review scores, let's give it. Obviously, you know, the whole world has already given their opinion on Sinners, but now we will. So, how many ICs out of 10 will you give Sinners?
I think I talked myself up into an 8 out of 10. Like it wasn't a bad film. For the sum of its parts was lacking, but the parts were still really, really interesting, I think. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
I mean, we're twinning today because I'm also going with 8 ICs out of 10. I feel like, similar to you, that a second viewing could up that for me to maybe 8.5,
Mm.
at least. But yeah, I think the movie's cool, man. It's just cool. It's great. It's fun. And I do want to watch it again.
Mm.
And, you know, honestly, I'm just happy that we have a new movie like this that is doing well. And it's just cool. It's just a beautiful time to be a cinema fan, well, specifically this weekend or this past weekend because of this movie. And so that's really good. So obviously you're going with 8 ICs out of 10. I'm also going with 8 ICs out of 10. And that will do it for our review of Sinners. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, share, drop down in the comment section below, excuse me, and let us know your thoughts on Sinners, what you thought about this movie, and what you think for the future of the new dynamic duo of Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. Once again, my name is Cameron. Papa was a Rolling Stone. Do 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 do. And I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm howling Phil Corwin.
That's right, we're howling tonight. Oh, Hailee Steinfeld, what a woman you are. But that will do it, of course, for our review of Sinners. Thank you very much for checking out our review today, guys. We are No Drama, Just Movies, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, guys.